Hmm. Let me see. Wait, is it working? Oh my god, it's working. Alright then. Let's see here. Well, I guess welcome to the stream. Uh, well, this is my first time doing this, so I have no idea entirely what I'm doing. All I know is that, the screen's blank. That's all I know. Um, let's see. Hmm. Oh, hello, Tyler. Oh, that's really cool. Okay. Uh, okay. Yeah, as I said, this is my first time, so this is really just a bullshit stream. I don't know entirely what I'm doing exactly. Uh, so, let's see here. Advanced. Uh, hello, is the camera on? I am not sure at all. All I know is that, soon I'm going to figure out how to, stream gmod. Yeah, this is gonna be nice. Uh, let's see. Hmm. I wonder if it just happens if I get onto gmod soon. Let me see. Uh, let's see. Maybe? Uh, can you guys see this? Okay, I guess not. Hmm. Let's see. So, I guess while I'm trying to figure this out, well, recently I just went to the Cumberson Toltec. That was astonishing. Uh, that's all I can really say. Let's see. Do 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 do. Yeah, I know. I see the black screen too. So I'm still trying to figure it. As I said, I'm still trying to figure this out. Hmm. Uh, yeah, this entire stream is just gonna be me saying, You can make a remix out of that. Watch, someone's gonna do it. Um, let's see. Video, maybe it's here. Hotkeys, what's this? Switch to scene, what's this? Did any of you see the galloping geese at the Cumberson Toltec? I don't know. I really am not sure. But, I mean, I saw 463 was cosmetically disguised, and 489 passed us about one time unexpectedly. Uh, we rode behind the 487, which honestly, that was actually it was impressive to hear the stack talk of that thing. It was great. Uh, all right, let's see. Is it still? Can you guys still hear me? Just making sure. What's this? Oh, ooh, what's this? Uh, oh, wait, can you guys see this? Maybe. Uh, let's see. Let's see if maybe this does something. Oh, this is trippy. It worked! Haha! Sometimes my genius is. It's almost frightening. But let's see here. Has it loaded into gmod? Because I'm in the main menu at this moment. I guess not. Oh, wait, right, okay. Well then. So, I guess for this stream, I'm just really just gonna kind of... I don't want to go into... I don't want to go into multiplayer at the moment. I'm just gonna kind of mess around, I guess, and maybe I can even show off some of my locomotives. Let's see. What map shall I go on? Is there anyone here on gmod who's, you know, what would a Berkshire look like if the Reading had any? Honestly, we've actually cosmetically disguised one of our, well, Jim made a model of a Berkshire. And, well, it was, it was a Reading Berkshire is what he made it look like. But let's see here. Well, actually, this might as well be a good time as ever to show off a small little project I'm working on, which is part of my fictional railroad for Gmod, the Blue Line and Eastern Railroad. Can you guys still hear me? Well, just loading in now. But holy crap, it works now. I can't believe it. This is amazing, actually. Hold on. Let me just go out of here. Let's just kind of close this tab. Should help with the frames. A little bit, anyway. Oh, what's that? Did my game just crash? I think my game might have just crashed. What was this? Oh, God. Ooh, whoa, 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 whoa. No, I do not want to do that. Okay, what's this? Oh, oh, what's this? Also my condolences to you having the having to take down your 113 video. It's just copyright issues. Plus, it was my fault for not crediting them. I didn't even ask them for permission. It's my fault. But for now, it is time to figure out why has game crashed. Maybe. No. Ooh, whoa. That's pretty trippy. That's trippy as hell. Oh, there we go. We're back in the game. Took a moment. Well, it's definitely loading. Oh, ooh, it's working pretty fine. All right, it says right. Here we go. I'm in. Now, I guess this is a good opportunity as ever to show the viewers that 482 Berkshire 482s aren't Berkshires. Berkshires are 284s. But anyway. I might as well show off a couple of things. Let's see. What do you guys want to see first? You guys want to see a 280 or a 040 or 462? Hold on, let me check the chat. Hey, Andrew, someone made a large live Steam replica of a DNHK. Oh, that's cool. That's actually really cool. Honestly, the Northerns are one of the better looking locomotives on the fleet. But let's see here. Smallest first, biggest last. Okay. Well then, I guess I will show off my fireless 040, which honestly I built this thing in like 2 hours. Well, like what feels like 2 hours anyway. Probably built in like an hour or something. But this is my fireless cooker hold on. Appears though that the headlight has decided to commit die because of a certain area of code that needs to be deleted. And there we go. Alright, yeah, this is my fireless cooker locomotive, which you guys should know what a fireless cooker is. And if you don't, I despise you. I'm just kidding. But let me see here. Now, let me just make a good camera angle. There we go. Yep, this is my little fireless cooker. It is based on an old Porter 040 fireless. Because it was funny.
Well, it wasn't funny to me. What if I put cheese on your face?
You did, Anthony.
Yeah, but still.
Remember, I attempted to eat the cheese and it was bad?
Yes, I actually knew the cheese was bad.
Well, why didn't you eat the cheese I gave you? Mine was good.
Because you disturbed my slumber.
It was... You were late for school, Anthony. That's what... Well, anyway. Sorry for the intrusion. My little brother wanted to talk about a moment that I cheese slapped him. But yes, this is my fireless cooker locomotive, which is one of my smallest that I've built, and mostly one of my simplest because, well, not much detail. There's barely any detail for the combination lever and the reverser and all. There's not really much detail at all. It's really just meant to be like a small little workhorse. There is a blue 080 fireless locomotive at the Museum of Pennsylvania. Oh, I've seen that. Oh, here's a rather unique locomotive. Hold on, let me just go up to my secondary railroad, which I actually have 3 particular railroads which I have made up for fictional railroad purposes. And most of them take place at the northeastern part of the United States. So let me see here. Aha! So one of my companies is the Stallion Western Fuel and Iron Company, which is, well, it's a mining industry, mining for coal and even pitting for oil, and really it's just a fuel, and it really that's the name describes it. And the idea behind this particular railroad is just the prime era of the steam locomotive. The industrial, dirty, filthy, grimy, smelly, and hard-working era for locomotives. Oh, I did not mean to grab that out. But this is one of... Oh, this is going to be annoying. This particular locomotive, this specimen, is based on the J70, which you can obviously see. Little 060 with outside motion with a oddly shaped cab, to say the least. But the funny thing is, while it's cosmetically based on the J70, mechanically it's different in every other aspect, especially when it comes to what it was originally designed for. Originally, for the lore of the Stallion Western, this locomotive would have been designed for traveling through mines, like bringing heavy loads from the mines all the way to the top, and then bringing empty cars down, bringing the heavy loads up. But the problem with regular locomotives is that because they're, very narrow tunnels and a lot of the smoke gets in their face, a lot of the residue, it's really hard to work down in the mine, especially when you're working with a coal-fired steam locomotive. So I took this idea to make a almost fully enclosed cab for the engineer and the fireman. So that's what this is. Actually, pretty sure I have an entire lore thing made for this locomotive in particular. Hold on, let me just you know what? Let me fire it up, just for the show. Very cheap way to fire it up, but it works.
You got a piano?
No, I'm live streaming everything. It's okay. But anyway, let's see here. So let me go to my because I have a Discord server themed specifically after the Blue Line and Eastern Railroad. Sorry. But let's see here. So, yeah, I have a Discord server dedicated to my fictional gmod railroads, which is divided into 3 sections. There's the main railroad, which is the Blue Line and Eastern Railroad, which, BL and ER for short. And then there's this one, the Stallion Western Fuel and Iron Company, or just the Stallion Western, which later on would become the Stallion Western Scenic Railroad. And then there's the Crabapple Valley and Northern Railroad. Well, Crabapple North Valley Railroad, which is a small commuter and freight service in a small, on the borderline of Canada and America. Very interesting main line, but let's see here. I know I have a lot of history concerning this particular specimen right here that you see, but where is it? Here it is. Okay. So, according to the history that I wrote for this little specimen, the J57-060s were charming little wooden steam tram locomotives built in 1918 by the Leopard Locomotive Works, which is the name of the company that makes our locomotives. Well, I designed them, and then I build them, and then, well, it's not just me. A couple of our guys, we have a couple of people who join us in on designing these heavy-duty machines, because these two locomotives that I've just shown you are the smallest of the fleet, and this one particularly is one of our oldest that are still operating. Built in 1918, these machines were designed for the small duties at the small yet blooming Stallion Western Railroad. They were the only wooden steam tram engines of their type to operate in America regularly, and they served out their duties until 1949, 5 years after the new dwarf locomotives had been introduced to replace them, which a dwarf locomotive was basically a principle of making very small but easy to fire little 040s or 060s that could travel through the mines. Today, only one J57 survived the scrap lines, Stallion Western Fuel and Iron Company No. 3, which is this locomotive right here. Number 3 was to be cut up until a group of steam enthusiasts bought the locomotive as its roof was being torn off. Number 3 sat in a car museum for 20 years until it was bought by the Stallion Western Scenic Railroad and restored back to its original condition, with most of the cab being having to be replaced, for obvious reasons. Especially with a reinforced area of steel embedded in the cab, for obvious reasons again. The locomotive now operates excursions from Dragon's Rock to... Okay, here's a really cool part of the locomotive's lore. Number 3 has visited the Strasbourg Railroad in 1968, where it spent 2 years running until sent back to the Stallion Western. Number 3 was also loaned to the Cass Scenic Railroad for a period of 11 months. Then in 1995, Number 3 was sent to the Steamtown National Historic Site to attend the grand opening along with Blue Mountain Reading 425, Canadian Pacific 2317, Baldwin 26, Milwaukee Road 261, and others. Number 3 gave small tours around the collection of the locomotives. So yeah, I really had a lot of fun making lore for these locomotives, especially the old ones, like this one right here. Which, well, as you can see, is a very unique locomotive, not only cosmetically, but, you know, just unique, even with its purpose. And, well, let's take it for a little spin, which, this is my Halloween skin, just ignore it. Anyway. To rebuild this thing. I want to add some frames underneath. I'm going to make slightly better cylinders, and, well, not only that, I want to give this thing more detail, basically. But it's not really due for that amazing rebuild for a lot of... did I leave 3254 out on purpose? Yes. I will admit I left it out on purpose. Anyway. Let's see here. What is another locomotive that... Oh yeah, so let's see. Well, you know what? Before we get to some of my better locomotives, let's get to one of my worst. If I can cooperate with myself. This one I believe to be one of my worst locomotives. Just look at it. It's hideous. I think it's hideous, anyway. Well, this is a very old one of mine, not to mention well, It's got 4-cylinder. It's basically an American version of Big Bertha. And honestly, I did not execute it very well. I don't think anyway. But you can think what you want. But I mean, I did get the internals piston rods and the crank, and albeit very, very badly done. But I can forget about that one. But let's see, what are one of my prouder locomotives? Ah, yes. Probably my most popular production steam locomotive would have to be my T13 280 consolidations. Which, as I said, once again, this is a custom design. And boy, is it quite a powerful one. And by the way, ignore the headlight. I just really, for some reason, when I made this headlight, I was in a bit of a D&H kind of phase where thinking that I could add this headlight to anything, but I kind of want to make it more detailed. But anyway, anyway, this T13 particularly is probably, as I said, my proudest accomplishment. It is a 280 with 64-inch diameter drivers and 26.5-inch diameter cylinders. And this thing puts out a massive amount of tractive effort, I swear. It's got 71,000 pounds of tractive effort in this little boy. Not to mention, it can go up to 75 miles an hour, thanks to the roller bearings. And here's the craziest part. In the lore of the BLNER, this particular specimen was built in 1991. Yeah. Not to mention, one of the more modern features of this locomotive is the water tube boiler, which you can increase the boiler pressure from some pretty intense pressures. Particularly for this one, it reaches 320 psi, which I know what you're thinking, that's fucking crazy. That's crazy. Not for a water tube boiler. And I know what you're thinking. Haven't they tried water tube boilers on steam locomotives before? Well, yes, but they could have done better. A lot better. One of the problems with this supposed water tube boiler steam locomotive, or, well, particularly this one, which I'm going to talk about, the Hush Hush, which that locomotive had too many water tubes. Specifically around the firebox. When the heat was actually applied to those water tubes, the condensation would actually dampen the fire a little bit. So it would be a lot less, well, it was a lot less powerful. And wasn't that thing yeah, actually. Well, it's a mixture between 4 different types of 280s. It's a mixture between a Reading I-10A, a Pure Marquette 280, a U.S. Army S-160, and a Western Maryland H-Class. Oh, and not to mention an LS&I SC. But yeah, this thing's quite a combo, and not to mention quite a what's the word? Let's just call it a hefty unit, I guess we will. But yeah, this is one of my proudest when it comes to custom built creations, especially with one particular feature which I was recommended, was adding the feed water heater. Well, not the feed water heater, the preheater. Instead of putting it on the front of the locomotive like a Russian hat, which it looks like to me, I put it behind the smoke box, tucked into the boiler barrel, which Jim recommended based on the New York Central mountain types. But yeah, this one, as I said, it's a very what can I say? I'm really proud with this one. Oh, and not to mention one of my favorite features, which I personally added, which was taken from the inspiration of 2926, which, as you guys know, I'm very close to. This extra valve right here on the top actually controls exactly how much steam is supplied to the cylinders. Which I bet you're thinking, what about the throttle? Well, this is an extra example of part of the Santa Fe's advancements. And so, since it was on 2926, I decided to add it to all of my modern designs. But yeah, this one, it's quite an absolute unit. Yes, I mean the Mohawks. Yes, I mean the Mohawks. Yes, I film y'all. Anyway. But yeah, I'm very proud of that one when it comes to the development. But I guess I almost forgot to mention one of my favorite locomotives to run often, which is also one of the smallest I've built, which is my K4040. Which, I know what you're thinking, but isn't the K4 a PRR locomotive? That's the point. I'm gonna piss off a lot of formers with this. We called it the K4. Oh, oops. Headlight glitch again. Just gonna. If I can. Oh, there it is. There we go. And not only is it, you know, a class K4, but it's also numbered 90. Try guessing what kind of people that's gonna piss off. But yeah. This locomotive is actually heavily based on two different locomotives, particularly. It's based off a Baltimore and Ohio 040C class, and it's also based off Monticello Railway Number 1, which, well, Monticello Railway Number 1's parts come into play once you look a little closer. But as for the B&O switchers, you can clearly see the resemblance. The low placed cab, the pretty chinky boiler, and not to mention one thing that I decided to add entirely myself is the smoke box dart, which in Britain it's actually a very convenient thing to add to steam locomotives, and honestly, I find it a very big hassle to have to open every single little lock and just try and, well, like, this is millions in some cases where these little hinges that hold the smoke box door shut, when you could just be using one little handle like this. And honestly, I find it, more convenient. And it is more convenient. Oh yeah, it does make it look slightly less American. Slightly. Like 2% less American. But yeah. I also want to add more stuff to this locomotive. Like, I want to add some more detail to the side rods when it comes to the valve gear setup. Add more stuff to the combination lever and the eccentric rods, and just add more detail in general for this area. But here's a little fact. This was actually the first locomotive I ever did with the boiler rings right here, which you can probably tell because they're a little bit uneven, but as I said, it was my first one. And now, let's see here. So, my 462 I still need to make for this particular gauge, which, let me see here. Here we go. Okay. So, this is my 462 design, which, well, this one, I still need to make an RSG version of it, but this one is one of my proudest creations, for obvious reasons. This is the second 462 I ever built, and it's the only 462 that I actually designed fully by myself. It's a combination between a Baltimore and Ohio Pacific, a Boston and Maine Pacific, a Maine Central Pacific, and, well, try guessing the other. A Savannah and, well, not Savannah, Atlanta, Atlanta and West Point 462, and a smidge amount of Santa Fe 462, which you can probably see in the cylinders. But there's a lot of combination that really goes into making these locomotives. You know, try to look. I even have these blueprints here, so hold on, let me just. Okay, so this one has a 430 psi boiler with 75-inch diameter drivers, 26-inch diameter cylinders internally, with a piston stoke of 22 inches, and a horsepower of 4,922 horsepower, with a booster. And one of the coolest things about this locomotive is the booster truck, which it actually has on the pilot, but I did not want to spend too much time actually making that mechanism, especially because if I ran it often, then it would cause a lot of lag, and I didn't want to put in the hassle to make something that was just going to be, you know, a problem. So, but in real life, this locomotive would have a compound steam engine booster truck right here under the cylinders. So, the tractive effort for the locomotive alone without its booster would be 57,302 pounds of tractive effort. But the booster, the pilot truck on its own, would be 14,809 pounds of tractive effort with just the booster on its own. So try adding those together and you got the tractive effort of this bad boy. And yes, I did number it 4,900 to once again piss off foamers. But yeah, this, not to mention it's one of my few locomotives that I've made a tapered boiler in some way, which honestly this looks, I love it. I still love how this actually turned out, and I can't wait to make one for RSG, which should be very easy because that's how I made the 280 for RSG. But ooh, here's a little teaser for my next upcoming project. Which, this is going to be my biggest locomotive ever. And I mean, like, ever. Because the closest I ever came to making a big, like a huge locomotive was making a 28H for Yellowstone. But, honestly, that was just too big. And, well, for obvious reasons, I just didn't want to make something that was just impractical. And so, I stuck on the idea of making a Challenger instead. Which, currently I am, making slow... Currently I'm... Alright, I apologize for the lag. That was... I did not know that it would be this bad right now. Yeah, I should probably just remove that for now. But you can probably... You could probably see part of the idea. So the Challenger design, which, let me get my blueprints again. So I actually have had two designs for this one. Is a very skeptical one for me because, well, one, it's huge. Two, I have never built an incredibly detailed articulated locomotive before. Especially because I'm going to make this detailed to the point where it's presentable, but to the point where it won't kill the server every time you run it. That's part of my planning for these, because there's a lot of people who build their gmod locomotives just to look good, but not really to actually be ran. The point of a locomotive, in my opinion, is to run. And if you can't do that, then it's not a locomotive, it's just a display piece. So at the end of the day, the best solution for this is just to optimize your locomotive while also making it look pretty good. So it's really hard to make an optimized 4664 Challenger, especially when there's a lot of people out there who would prefer a little bit too much detail in their locomotives. But I prefer just function over form, unlike the Pennsylvania. Anyway, but yeah, the original, I've had to draw this Challenger twice, particularly when it comes to the drawings. The first drawing, it was the A14664, which it still is the A14664 Challenger, but the original specs are as the following: 350 psi, 65-inch diameter drivers, a 28-inch stoke, 26.5-inch diameter cylinders, and would lead up to a tractive effort of 179,992 pounds with 7,964 horsepower. So, if you thought my Pacific was a lot, this thing's got more tractive effort than a Y6B, to say the least. And that, I felt like that was a little bit too much, especially for a locomotive that's mainly just meant to be fast. I mean, it would be great for coal drags, but it's not really economical for what we're trying to do here. So I went back to the drawing board and gave it bigger 69-inch diameter drivers, the same cylinders, same boiler pressure, and I reduced the stoke to about 25 inches. So if you want to, you can probably calculate the tractive effort yourself. But remember, it is a simple articulated with, well, you heard most of the specs. But as I said earlier, one of my priorities for steam locomotive designs is function over form. And how do I achieve that function without going through a couple of tests? And well, those tests, particularly one for the T13, actually became one of my favorite steam locomotives to run. And that would be this charming little thing. Oops, might be having a little bit of a problem. There we go. Alright. But yeah, this is the prototype locomotive for the T13. 5799, which, well, the previous T11s, T12s, T11s, T11Xs, T12s, and it just continued. Look, there's a long line of evolution for these locomotives. I'd started way back when I started train build that I built my first 280, and it was the T9 particularly, and it was crazy. And I just kept building them and making them better and making them more economical, making them more powerful, making them more compact, making them better to fit in this generation. Especially in the canon, this particular locomotive would have been built in 1988. But, well, was it 80? What is it, 88 or 89? But, well, anyway, this was the prototype locomotive to create the T13, which this one is heavily based on two particular types of design, which one of them you can obviously see, which is the S160, it's got the S160's drivers, it's got the S160's cab, slightly, kind of, and it's also got a little bit of a It's also got a little bit of striping, which I took inspiration from number 17 from the Crab Orchard and Egyptian. And, well, the tender is fairly basic. It's just a hollow. But the locomotive, I entirely built myself, which I'm pretty proud of this. Especially since, ever since I've been running it more often, it's just look at it. It's a small and compact and very efficient design. It's got a 290 psi boiler, 26.5 inch, well, 26-inch diameter cylinders, 57-inch diameter drivers, and, well, that's really a tractor ever about 57,000 pounds, which is about 13,000 pounds less than a typical T13. Which, this one, it really runs. It may be like it has tiny drivers and a lower boiler pressure than an average T13. This one, honestly, it's better to operate because it doesn't. Because the T13s, they're really good for endurance running. They're really fast, they're really powerful, but most of the time you can't keep them entirely under control because of how powerful they are. So this particular locomotive, it's very comfortable to drive because it doesn't completely go out of your control. It has a nice amount of speed, a nice amount of strength. Not to mention, it does great on grades. And not to mention, this one time, I actually had to save a couple of people with this locomotive. So, one of my buddies, Brandon, was using one of his T13s, which, well, the brake shoes and the tires of the locomotive were starting to wear out. And not to mention the boiler for him, since he was using it basically 24/7, he was having troubles. He was wearing the locomotive out fairly quickly. So I had to come behind him. Well, I had to come down to get him and pull him up the grade with this locomotive backwards. Which, I mean, it was fairly slow, but we did it. And honestly, that's one of my more memorable parts with this locomotive. Every one of my gmod locomotives has its own story, either if it's made up for the purposes of lore or if it actually has a story that I just, keep with me because, well, it's just a nice story to tell, especially since, some of these stories actually happened. But yeah, as I said, this one's one of my favorites. Very compact, and not to mention very charming. It really has a lot of essence from the S160s. It's just got bigger cylinders, a higher boiler pressure. It's basically like if the S160s had a small taste of steroids. That's basically what this locomotive is. But one locomotive in particular, which is mainly built for lore and out of beauty and spite, is this particular 280, which in the lore is Blue Line and Eastern Railroad's 20th locomotive. Which, if it'll load in. This is number 19. One of the very first steam locomotives that the Blue Line and Eastern Railroad ever acquired. And this one's got quite a history when it comes to its overall significance to the railroad. But honestly, I didn't really build it originally just for story. I built it because, well, I was inspired by a Swedish 280 with inside motion, the E2 particularly, which honestly I was fascinated with because, well, what are the chances of you finding a 280 with inside motion? And honestly, I find that really unique and really cool and very sleek looking. Not to mention, well, this one has inside Walschaerts valve gear, which I really need to update a little bit more, but I mean, this one's actually one of my one of those locomotives I really just bring out for shows. Like, if you go in the cab, this one's actually one of my few locomotives with actual cab interior, which, well, looks pretty nice. And again, that's just my opinion. I don't know about what the other people will think, but yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's also very skinny too. Actually, let me see if I can measure this. So let's see. So let me get my calculator out. So that's 100. So oh yeah, this is 96. So 96 divided by 12. So it's 8 feet wide. It is 8 feet wide. This thing could go to Britain. This thing could go to Britain. Wow. Just wow. 8 feet wide. Isn't that... How wide are the S-160s? I forgot. I may have forgotten anyway, but... But, yeah. That one is... It's one of my favorites to run for shows. Oh! And I almost forgot one little locomotive. Let's see. Where is it? Oh yeah. So this locomotive, you'll probably be able to see exactly what I based it on the moment I spawn it in. Yep. But why not? The S-115s, particularly in real life, they are quite literally the definition of compact and powerful. Very small, but yet you could put anything behind them and they would haul it. Take a look at number 9. That thing, damn. I mean, restoring that thing, that's one of the few steam locomotives out there that are actually being brought out of retirement to pull freight, of all things, too. But this one in particular, like, yes, the look is based on the S-115s. Or was it S-155? Anyway, though, one thing that I did change for this locomotive was the boiler pressure and the cylinder diameter, which, well, and also not to mention the height of the locomotive has been drastically decreased. Well, mainly I designed this locomotive so that I could work in very suburban areas and it could be stored under one of those house sheds. But not to mention, I mainly designed it to where you could actually convert this locomotive from an 060 to a 260, which is why the locomotive looks so elongated. But honestly, I had a lot of fun building this particular locomotive. I mean, I love building switchers. I like building small and practical locomotives. But that actually begs us to the question, why are you starting live streams on Gary's Mod? Well, this weekend is going to be the start of a brand new series for us. And we're calling it Steam Force. Steam Force is basically our own interpretation. Oh, hold on. Alright, I'm back. I had to go answer the mummy. Anyway, but Steam Force. Steam Force is going to be our own interpretation of Top Gear. We build our own locomotives and we test them to the fullest. It's going to be fun, definitely. There's totally not gonna be any problems with our. There's totally not gonna be any there's not gonna be any crashes. Yeah, totally. It's gonna be fine. Is it? But yeah. In a nutshell, we want to make our own interpretation of Top Gear, but with steam locomotives. With the way that they present the cars and they, show the history and the mechanical maladies and the mechanical benefits, it really is surprising that no one else has done this. But since we can't do it in real life because, steam locomotives are valuable as fuck, we are just going to do it in gmod, but try and recreate it as realistic as possible. And not to mention, a couple of times we might actually be inviting guest speakers. Which, one of them in particular that we have in mind is, well, are you guys ready for this? Christopher Kovacs. We might bring him on. We might bring Christopher Kovacs on. But our main cast for this show is just going to consist of me, Jim, and we're not sure of our third member yet for this. But we do need 3 people to do this. And, well, of course, we need to have our Richard and... Oh! And thanks to this new series, not only are we going to be doing it on gmod, but we'll also be implementing 2 segments in between. And those 2 segments will consist of Conversation Street and Burning Subjects. Conversations, or should I say, well, Conversation Street, I think we can change the name to Daily Updates, or weekly updates in railroading. Like, for instance, like, if then those conversations, they could say, oh no, the restoration of 1309's been delayed again. They're like, oh no, anyway, last week, anyway. Those kind of things. But not only that, but we'll also be featuring a small segment of Burning Subjects, in which we will talk about particular locomotives in detail. And we will also get to go to the cool wall again. And, well, ever since we last did the cool wall, it's been the same, and well, nothing's really changed. It's just been waiting for more locomotives to line up against with the hundreds of beautiful steam-powered machines, except for the E2, that have been residing in images of despair and anguish. But yes, once these streams are up, we will be returning to Burning Subjects. And we will also be doing more active content. Because one thing that I've noticed is that the music videos are fun to make, yes. But it really depends on my mood, and I really can't get music videos pumped out like a unit just pumping out one everyone like I can't do that. I only really do these music videos just, to make them and for the tribute to these locomotives, especially if they've retired or if they have a historical significance of some sort, or if, in some cases, if they're coming back very soon. But there was one video that I had no inspiration for, and I just did it because people were expecting it, and it was the video on 113, which I thought it was a good idea at first, and then halfway through making the video, I lost it, and I just kind of just made it and then uploaded it so I could move on to the next thing and be done with that video, because I didn't really have much fun making the 113 video. As much as I love 113, I didn't have fun compiling the locomotive with that song. So, I mean, there are certain, like, the video on 734, I had a good time because, one, I was bored and I was on the road. So I made it because, I was bored and so I was thinking, what am I going to do? Oh, I'll make this, And so, sparked the creation of 4 music videos, which now, number 5, the C&J one, has now been deleted because, well, I realized, oops, I forgot to ask for permission on the videos, but that's entirely my fault. So, but there are a couple of these music videos I definitely had a lot of fun with, especially the one on CNO 614. We all love Queen. Should we? Do we all love Queen? Hmm? Look, I want you guys to say it in the chat. Do you guys love Queen? I'm waiting. Do you love Queen? Tell me! You love Queen! You love Queen? Tell me. I'm waiting. But yeah, I, I feel that 614 is the Freddie Mercury of excursion stars. You know, it was one of those great excursion stars that impacted the railroad preservation in many ways, especially with the Chessie safety special, the ACE 3000 project, and not to mention somehow breaking speed limits. Well, yeah, that's not right, but 614 has made quite the impact on the preservation era. And so, well, especially with the basically any footage you find of 614 is of the locomotive going at some incredible speed, which honestly, that song really fit, especially since, you know. Oh, and speaking of Bohemian Rhapsody, that song is actually going to be used for, well, was going to be used because I was going to upload it later this week, but then, you know, the problem happened with the CNJ video, and I was thinking, I'll wait another day for that one. But I have been working on a music video of the Reading T1s, particularly 2101, well, 2100, 2101, 2102, and 2124, which are all going to be in the music video for Bohemian Rhapsody. For obvious reasons. Which this one is going to be I'm having a lot of fun making this music video, but I am having trouble finding particular shots that I need, especially in the beginning when I was trying to make a shot of the "Is this the real life?" I was trying to find shots of each of the locomotives in their current state, you know, like out either two out of three out of four locomotives would be in a very sad state outside on display, and then the other two would be getting their restorations. Especially like the first one would be 2100 being rolled into the roundhouse, and the second would be a zoom in on 2101. Third one would be a side cut of 2102, then the fourth one would be 2124 outside at Steamtown. But this, I wanted to find video of like them in a little bit of a sadder state to give the idea that, you know, this is going to be an emotional music video. On a Nevada Northern Railway locomotive. Honestly, I have no idea what locomotive I would make a music video on for that specifically. I mean, I know the locomotives very well, but I don't know what songs suit them very well. All I really know is just that, well, you know, these are definitely unique to 2.8s for their type. Especially since, you know, 81 has Baker valve gear, which, that's pretty cool. But, I'm not sure. Especially since the next one has to be of a locomotive that is still operating. Well, since I've removed the one from, you know, the CNJ 113 one, what is the one of... What? We need a locomotive that is currently operating. You guys have any suggestions? But keep in mind, guys, that if you are going to leave a suggestion on a certain locomotive, I need to find the song. You guys can't, well, if, depending on if the song is, fitting or not, then I might do it. Like, take instance, LOAR number one, the mountain. That song, is about the harsh reality of the 734 being worked to death, basically. And that's basically what the 734's story ended up being like. Ended up being ran into the ground and not being able to be restorable. Well, it is still restorable, but very long term. And quite frankly, the 1309 deserves a chance to shine. I think we all know that. But for the second music video, which 475, that one was really into the play of what train the 475 originally used to pull, the Virginian Creeper. And so this song was not only... Oh, hold on. Hello?
Here. Grandma almost threw it away.
Hello? Hello? Okay. Where's the ticket? Oh, next. Yeah. Well, see you in a little bit, Mom. Thanks. Anyway, guys, you guys heard the nutshell about 475 and all that jazz and all that. And really, I have done the test that I needed to do to see if the stream was actually able to work. And wouldn't you know it, it works great. I I still can't believe that it works this well, actually. So, but I guess for now, if I can figure out how to do this. Let's see. If I can pick you out at the end of the stream, do 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 do. Alright, oh yeah, of course it's this button. Anyway, I will see you guys this Saturday for our first episode of Steam Force.